How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today? Hi,
Just
Justin.
finishing up at work. Just finished for the day.
Okay. So thank you for having me.
I'm glad you came also, actually. So, welcome welcome back everyone to Pick Your Brains. Today I have a great guest, and today I have Miss Rachel Beck from Delray Beach, Florida. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not bad. All right, so it's not going to be like a job interview because I doubt you've done those much in your life since you've been a writer most of this time. So this will just be a fun interview.
Okay, let's do it. I'm all for us having fun. Let's do it.
Okay, so as I came across your content before, a couple things stood out for me. So my first question is, I've seen that you are originally from India, correct?
I am. I was born in India, was adopted by a family and raised in the States.
So how did your family end up deciding here in the States to adopt you?
You know, it's a really interesting story, Ben. My parents have two biological children, and they felt really strongly for their third child that they wanted to adopt one and give a child a home.
So both your brother and both
I have
your
two brothers
siblings
are
Huh?
biological. I have two brothers and they're biological.
Okay, so they are Indian just like you, correct?
No. They're biological to my parents.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you have a bat mitzvah as most Jewish girls do?
Yes, I did. I went to Jewish private school. I went to Jewish private school from about pre-K up to sixth grade, then transferred to public school. Are you Jewish too, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was bar mitzvahed, but I was bar mitzvahed at 14 years old, actually.
Shalom, mashallah. Yes.
Shalom, exactly.
Yes, I was bar mitzvahed. I absolutely was, yes.
Okay, so when you went to college, what was your original plan?
I never have had a plan. None of my life plans have worked out. So I kind of have gone with the flow. I've changed careers many times. I was a photographer for 10 years. I've been an author. I'm doing 4 jobs now under my company. So I have learned to go with the flow of life. I also was a teacher for many, many years in my 20s, many, many years. So I worked in many different fields. I also was a waitress in my 20s. I've done many different things, and everything that I have done in my life has made me who I am today.
So let's start with the photography business. What actually made you choose photography?
You know what, Ben? It's a really interesting story. Okay. I went through something extremely traumatic, deeply, deeply traumatic. I was sitting on the beach having conversation with my cousin. And one of the things that I had done for a hobby was photography. I love it. I still do it for myself personally. And he said to me, and the trauma was very real. I was still in the trauma state. And he said to me, Rach, if you really love doing photography, why don't you do this for a business? I set up my business the next week. He had planted the seed and I ran it for 10 years.
I was under the impression looking at your profile that it was 8 years.
It was 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years. And that was when you lived in the Midwest, correct?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did in the Midwest. I've also exhibited all over this country.
So did you do a lot of traveling between New York, California, Pennsylvania, Missouri, etc.?
No, I grew up in Pennsylvania, moved to Florida, was there for quite some time, and then moved to the Midwest, was there for a very, very long time, and just came back here almost a year and a half ago. So I've never lived on the West Coast is actually a space I have not lived.
Ah, okay. So that's actually very interesting. And this leads me to my next question. Your current business, because it looks like you stopped doing photography, is VLAC Shimmy Author.
Yes,
if I'm correct.
yeah, I own my own company. It's actually called Rachel Beck LLC. I just have to update my profile. I use a pen name for my book, which is V Lakshmi. I picked that name because that is my biological name. It is the only thing I have from my parents. And so when I wrote the book for my biological parents, when I wrote the book, I wanted to honor my parents. It was really important to me. My mom died 2 days after giving birth. I'm looking for my biological father.
So you haven't found your biological father.
Yeah.
Do you think he's in India at this point?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's not doubt in my mind.
And let's see, for the audience's
yeah, good.
for the audience's purposes, I have seen I've seen other parts of your material where you've interviewed within the community. What have you been learning from them?
The community, I learn every day. LinkedIn is a phenomenal platform to learn from as much as that I'm running my show and doing it. I learn just as you guys are learning when you watch it. I learn from experts. I absolutely learn from there are so much knowledge to be gained on this platform.
So you hinted at it a little earlier because I've seen this theme across the people that you've been interviewing, but so you advocate for mental health. What was the trauma that you were going through?
I can't discuss what happened. I can just say this. I don't wish it on anybody. I have lost a lot, Ben. I've lost a lot. And I had a very deeply traumatic experience. And that's where my PTSD comes from. And it's very hard for me to talk about it because it brings.
Would you be able to tell us what PTSD actually is? I know what it is, but I know the audience would like to know what it is because
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Where we usually heard about it is it affected enlisted soldiers who are coming back, but I was always curious how it affected day-to-day people.
Yeah, and this is my disclosure. I'm not in the medical field, I'm not in the mental health, but I'm just sharing my experience. I have been I'm using my voice for the mental health field. I am trying to end the stigma when it comes to mental health. I'm deeply, deeply passionate about the subject, as you know, because you've heard me talk about it. I want people, I always get, well, you don't look like someone who has PTSD, right? PTSD affects many different people. So I'm trying to say, what does it mean I don't look like someone who has PTSD?
Nobody thinks I have autism, by the way, or do I look like the classic autistic, Asperger's syndrome case? And yet the funny thing is when it comes to educating people, which I've learned today, first and foremost, there's two different types. There's a high function and a low function. What most people are thinking is the classical low function autistic, but when they look at me, they say, how are you? I'm like, it just affects me in the learning process. I've had an IEP before, so, and it carries over into other facets of life, but I guess it's the same with PTSD. Yeah, just because you have it doesn't mean you look like it.
Well, or that I just ask people to go be empathetic. You have no clue what somebody's dealing with.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Just don't walk into a room and make assumptions that just because somebody looks the way they do.
Oh, I agree with that also, because not everyone has understood how high function and low function work.
Yeah, and that is something that I studied a lot, Ben, because I minored in psychology. I minored in gender studies. So I studied a lot about this, and I'm passionate about all of it.
Which I'm glad, because it's nice to meet someone who also has studied it and understands it, and then I know people who have a child that is either affected by it or they have a cousin who's older and affected by it. And what I have noticed in this country is that more is done for, kids to young adults than it is somebody in their 30s. It's like once you get to your 20s and 30s, okay, you're on your own.
And you hear me say, I tell my network quote once a week, you're not alone. Why? Because so many people feel alone right now. So many people.
Well, of course, because everyone, look at the pandemic within the last year. Everyone's doing a Zoom. It's not the same as, if I were living in the state of Florida with you, and then I could probably do this interview in person. No. Zoom is great. It's, the computer is great and all, but it's not the same as being.
But it's also been right? We're all very grateful for it during lockdown. I can't imagine if we didn't have this technology to see people every day. It would be very hard for people. So it's been a blessing too. When we were locked down, I have friends who were locked down for a year. Almost a year, and so it's something to be grateful for too.
Yes, it really is. All right. Do you advocate for both men and women when it comes to mental health?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're not one of those selective ones who, chooses to empower women, because there are people who choose one specific gender.
No, mental health affects all genders. This is not no, I have family members who have diagnoses. I also have uncle in my family who's a psychologist. No, it affects every gender. Yes, do I use my voice for women supporting women? Of course I do. I'm trying to teach the way that women can support each other and together. Mental health affects every gender. And yes, absolutely. I have male friends who are suffering from, different mental health issues. Yes, it is not a gender issue. It is a human issue.
And that's the other thing, because most men in this country, they don't want to openly discuss it. You can discuss it openly in maybe other countries, but here in America, if you're a man, you're not allowed to discuss it.
Oh, and there's a lot of men on the platform who use their voice. Some of the biggest influencers use their voice, and they use it for mental health that are males. So yes, absolutely.
It's better now than it was in the 90s, because in the 90s and early 2000s, there was still a very large stigma with it.
And we're working on it. There's a core group of people who we are working so hard to end the stigma. And we're doing our part, to make sure that it ends. That's one of my dreams. I have many, many dreams that I'm working on, but that's one of them.
That's actually a good dream to work on, believe it or not. So especially for someone like myself, who is also, as I'm producing and interviewing, we're going to be doing some episodes that I would definitely like to also have you back for when you're able to. What do you think?
Honor, Ben, it's my honor.
Exactly. What do you think can be done more to get men to be able to discuss this issue openly more? That would be able to move away from the old stigma associated with it.
You know what? There's a lot of males, like I said, they're doing videos, they're talking about it. They're talking about their depression, they're talking about their anxiety. It's making them feel comfortable, right? So when I have male friends on the platform who open up and share that they're going through depression, they're going through really serious things, it's important to support them and encourage them and to give them the love and just shower love on them. It is important to get on those posts and to support them as much as you can. I have a lot of male friends, Ben, who have, are dealing or going through a hard time.
I'm not, so then at least it's good, because I'm not the only one, and I know I'm not necessarily alone on this.
Right.
But among some of my older friends, not everyone takes the time to listen. In fact, I've gone through some friendships which have either ended, but they don't understand. So what would you recommend in terms of finding the right support system for, in that situation?
Where people are feeling lonely on LinkedIn? I can't give out
not LinkedIn. This is actually in my offline life.
I mean, and I can't obviously can't give mental health advice, being that I'm not a counselor or social worker.
But I should surround myself with people who are understanding.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are compassionate, kind human beings, Ben. There really, really are. I keep a big bubble over my network. Okay. I keep kind, positive people inside my network. They're there every day. Reach out. There are still good people in this world. There truly, truly are. And it's up, who you're gonna be with and who you're gonna surround yourself with.
Okay, let's see. I have a good, interesting question for
Okay.
you, and it's actually pertaining to feminism and the entire feminist movement. Besides empowering women, how do you feel about how the feminist movement is today?
I think I use my voice as a woman. I know what I've dealt with. I know the roadblocks that I've had to face. And then and on top of that, Ben, that I'm a minority woman in this country. I know I get up every day, Ben. I'll be honest with you. I have to give, if someone's giving it 100%, I have to give it 200%. Why? I'm a minority American. I'm a minority American woman. People are already assuming things about me before I walk in the door. And so I am proud to be a minority woman in this country. And
I wouldn't assume anything about you, by the way. Well,
well,
if
I
we were in
appreciate
a
that.
room together.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And maybe that's the
That
way.
was the one thing that I was taught as a kid was
Me too.
don't assume impossible.
Exactly. I was
Or
taught
at
this.
least don't come out of my head to actual words if I was.
Right. It's a filter. We all have it. I try to tell people use it. Like, you have a filter, use it. So yeah. So it's been an interesting ride, Ben. I have to knock on doors a little bit harder. I've had some doors closed.
Especially in Florida.
No, I mean, I've just in my life experiences. I'll just leave it at
Oh,
that.
just your life experience in general.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you recommend to somebody who's building a brand, on social media platforms as well? Wouldn't just be LinkedIn.
But here's 3 things I can teach people. You ready?
Yes.
You need to give back to your network. Ben, that is one of the biggest mistakes people do not do. They take, and they don't give back. That's why they're not growing. That's why they're not gaining followers. You need to give back to your network. I post Monday through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. For me, is about giving back to my network. I go through my feed and I give back to them. That's the first mistake I see people making. Your relationship with your network is a symbiotic relationship. It's not one above. No, we are together. The network. I've been trying to humanize social media. I'm working very hard on it. That's the first thing. Be a giver. Be a selfless human being. Okay. The other thing that you can do in order to grow your following, to grow your branding, is practice. Some people, no one is looking for perfection. No one needs to be perfect on social media. And if I get that message across, we just want to see you, right? We just want to see you. We want to hear your story. It does not have to be perfect. So I think once people let go of that, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. That's just who it happens. We're all human beings. So when people let go of the word perfect on social media, they'll be okay.
That's the funny thing, because when I used to use Facebook, there's a little story behind this one. People used to never like when you complained on Facebook. You complain about being unemployed here on LinkedIn, it's a little bit of a different story.
Mm-hmm.
Because on Facebook, it used to be like, oh, no one wants to hear it. Like here, for example, I've gained, well, maybe I shouldn't talk about me, but basically, profile's been viewed 2,310 times. And it gets at least 200 views a month. Connections wise, I'm probably at about close to 4,000, and then 500 connections or something.
And then
like
you
that.
know why? You know why? You're a phenomenal engager. You are a phenomenal engager. I see you out. I mean, you're outstanding at that. That's the other thing. Let's talk about that. That's the other thing. You're talking about 3 tips. Here's my third tip. You have to get out there and engage with people. It is crucial. And that's another mistake.
You know how I started getting to this, and even though this took about 2 years, it was basically reading people's posts, but then posting on the larger content creators' posts. In fact, I actually just interviewed a woman on Saturday named Elvie. She was one of the first ones that I had begun interacting with. She is up there with the large creators, but like not a large following. They're like people on here with, like 1 million followers or something like that. I mean, I don't consider myself up in that area, but just for my profile to be able to get as much as I have, I'm happy with it. I don't need a large following. I mean, I don't know what your following is at, and that's, less of my concern, but are you happy with where yours is?
I'm grateful. I'm grateful every day. And I truly am. I love Ben, you know that. I love my network. You know this. You know how special my relationship is with them.
Yes. Now, an interesting question, since you speak of network in Florida, are they doing in-person events again now down there? Because I know Florida runs a little differently than the Northeast.
I was gonna ask that. So where are you again? Man, I feel like
New York.
New York, right? You're in New York. I think people are starting to get together. I think people are moving.
So has it been a little, because I know your state's been open a bit longer in that sense. Have like the association started doing in-person events down there?
I have no idea. I know that people are getting, I know people are getting together. So I just couldn't answer it on the level that you're asking me to answer it.
Oh, no, that's fine. Right. Is there anything else I really wanted to know? I think we pretty much covered. The branding was also very important. Besides LinkedIn, are you on other social media platforms?
I'm not. Ben, I'm a team of one. And this is it. So, and people think I have a huge social media team behind me, and I don't. So it's just me. I really am a team of one. So LinkedIn is my space. I have had friendships there for years and years and years. It is my virtual office. It's where I do all my work all day long.
So you would say you're probably on here. I don't know if this is a vague figure or not. Would you say you're on here like 24 hours a day?
No, I'm not. No, I mean,
but you know what I mean. You're definitely on here a good amount of the day. That's for sure.
Right, because it's my work. It's my work.
How many books have you written as Lakshmi?
I wrote that book, and I'm 100 pages into the second book.
So you are writing a second book, because I actually Googled your book, and it came up through a publishing company. Do you still work with that publishing company?
Yeah, they're really, really wonderful. They're a really wonderful company. I think very highly of them.
And the other question, is the book for sale on Amazon or only on that publishing company?
It's available on Amazon. It's available in a lot of different places. And thank you for asking that question. Part of the proceeds, Ben, of my book are being donated back to my orphanage. I have a goal that I'm trying to hit, and until I hit that goal, I'm not going to stop. But part of
was that orphanage in India that you got adopted out of, or over here?
In India. I was placed in the home. It's been around since the 70s. It's been around for a really long time.
So it's not well funded right now.
It's funded by a huge Christian organization. It also has. They always need money, right? They always need money. There's people can sponsor a child. People can sponsor a grandparent. They have a school also that they run. It is an incredible, phenomenal place.
Would you mind sending me a link when you get off here?
Absolutely, I'll send you a link. Absolutely.
I'm going to take a look into it, because I have been thinking about eventually maybe doing some charitable donations again?
Tzedakah, you and I know, Ben, tzedakah. to
Yeah,
plant
exactly.
that's
It's just
exactly-
been a very long time. Another interesting question, your birth parents, which part of Judaism were they from?
my parents who adopted me, like, and raised my parents, you mean? You have to say which my biological parents or who adopted me.
Your American parents, the
Oh,
adopted
My
parents.
parents, which are my parents, because I've been with them since I'm 11 months old. That's when I was adopted. What did
Okay,
you?
so since 11 months old.
Okay.
What sect of Judaism?
I would say the Reform. I would say I definitely grew up Reform.
Yeah, so did I actually. I was thinking that they were either conservative or one of the upper two, but I had a feeling it was Reform also.
But
Because that's how.
my parents, their religion is, I mean, I'm going to speak for them. It is very important to them. It is deeply, deeply important to them.
I haven't been to synagogue in a very long time, so I would also guess your husband is Jewish, correct?
I don't talk about my husband. That's very-
Okay. If you don't, you don't.
Thank you for asking. Thank you.
No, that's okay. I wasn't expecting an answer. I just put it out there.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So I think I definitely had a fun time being able to
Thank you.
interview you today.
I know. We were looking forward to it. And thank you, Justin, for your help. Is he there?
He's there.
Okay.
So
Justin,
I hope you
thank
guys
you
all
for your
learned
help.
something from our guest today, Rachel. We'll see you guys this weekend because this weekend I'm going to be recording a new episode of Opinionated Collective. Thank you guys, and I hope you learned something.
Ben, thank you
Justin.
so much. Justin and Ben, thank you so much for having me. Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Rachel.
Thank you.